The bar was a haze of dim lights and low murmurs, the kind of place where secrets clung to the air like cigarette smoke. She sat alone at the counter, her posture sharp, eyes scanning the room with the precision that cut through the crowd. Her leather jacket hugged her shoulders, and her boots tapped a slow, deliberate rhythm against the bar stool. The bartender slid a whiskey her way, no ice, just the way she liked it. She didn't flinch, didn't smile, just nodded a silent command that said she wasn't here to play. Across the room, a group of Navy SEALs, fresh from a deployment, laughed too loudly, their egos filling the space. One of them, a broad-shouldered guy with a cocky grin, locked eyes with her. He nudged his body, whispered something, and sauntered over, beer in hand, ready to test the waters. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, leaning in too close, "you got a call sign, or do I just call you mine?" The bar went quiet, or maybe it just felt that way. She turned her head, slow, deliberate, her eyes locking onto his like a missile finding its target. "Viper 1, she said, her voice low, steady, and sharp enough to cut steel. His drink slipped from his hand, crashing to the floor. The glass shattered, and he froze, his face draining of color. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We're diving into a story that'll keep you glued to your screen. A tale of secrets, strength, and a past that refuses to stay buried. Her name was Riley Kane, but no one in that bar knew it. To them, she was a mystery, a woman who carried herself like she'd walked through fire and come out sharper for it. The SEAL, whose name tag read Cole, stood there, mouth half open, trying to process what she'd just said. Viper 1 wasn't just a call sign, it was a legend whispered in the shadows of special operations. A pilot, a warrior, the ghost who'd flown missions so classified they didn't exist on paper. Cole's buddies at the table stopped laughing, their eyes darting between him and Riley. One of them, a wiry guy with a scar across his cheek, leaned forward, sensing something was off. "You okay, man?" he called out, but Cole didn't answer. He was still staring at Riley, his mind racing back to a night in the desert, a mission gone wrong, and a voice over the radio that saved his life. "Viper 1, he whispered, almost to himself, "that's not possible." Riley took a slow sip of her whiskey, letting the silence stretch. She knew exactly who he was. Lieutenant Jason Cole, SEAL Team 6, a man who'd built his career on being untouchable, unbreakable. But she also knew the truth he'd buried, the one he thought was locked away in a classified file somewhere in the Pentagon. 5 years ago, in the mountains of Afghanistan, Cole's team had been pinned down, ambushed by insurgents who outnumbered them 10 to 1. Bullets tore through the night, and their comms were jammed. They were done for until a lone A-10 Warthog screamed overhead, raining hell on the enemy. The pilot's voice crackled over the radio, calm and cold. "This is Viper 1. Hold tight, boys, I'm bringing the thunder." That pilot saved Cole's team, but the mission report never mentioned her. Instead, Cole took the credit, claiming he'd called in the airstrike himself. It was a lie that got him a medal, a promotion, and a reputation as a hero. Riley set her glass down, her eyes never leaving his. "You remember me now, don't you?" she said, her voice a blade wrapped in velvet. Cole's knees buckled, but he caught himself on the bar. The other SEALs were watching now, their laughter replaced by confusion. The wiry one, Scarface, stood up, sensing trouble. "What's going on, Cole?" he asked, his hand resting on the edge of the table like he was ready to move. Riley didn't flinch. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper only Cole could hear. "You took my story, Jason. You took my name, and you left me to rot." The words hit him like a punch to the gut. He remembered the aftermath of that mission, the whispers about the pilot who disobeyed orders to save them. She'd been court-martialed, stripped of her wings, and discharged it all because she'd flown into a no-fly zone to pull his team out of the fire. Cole had known, but he'd stayed silent, letting her take the fall. He thought she'd disappeared, maybe even died. But here she was, Viper 1, alive and staring him down like Judgment Day. The bar felt smaller now, the air thick with tension. Riley stood, her movements slow and deliberate, like a predator sizing up its prey. She was shorter than Cole, but her presence filled the room, commanding every eye. "You're not the hero you think you are," she said, loud enough for his team to hear. Scarface stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Lady, you better watch your mouth. You don't know who you're talking to." Riley's lips curved into a smile, but it wasn't warm-up. It was the kind of smile that made men check their exits. "Oh, I know exactly who I'm talking to," she said. "A liar who built his career on someone else's blood." The words landed like a grenade, and the bar erupted into whispers. Cole's face burned red, his hands clenching into fists. He wanted to deny it, to laugh it off, but her eyes held him in place, stripping away every defense he'd built. Flashback to 2020, a dusty forward operating base in Afghanistan. Riley, then Captain Riley Kane, sat in the cockpit of her A-10, her hands steady on the controls. She was 28, a prodigy pilot with a reputation for precision and nerve. Her call sign, Viper 1, was earned after a mission where she took out an enemy convoy with a single pass. Her plane so low the ground shook. That night, Cole's team was bleeding out, their position overrun. Her orders were clear: stay out of the no-fly zone. But when she heard their desperate calls over the radio, she made a choice. She banked her plane hard, diving into the chaos, her 30mm cannon tearing through the enemy like a scythe. She saved them, but at a cost. Her superiors called it reckless, a violation of protocol. They didn't care that she'd saved lives, they cared that she disobeyed. The court-martial was swift. Her career ended in a sterile room with a panel of officers who'd never seen combat. Cole, meanwhile, walked away with the Silver Star, his story of heroic leadership plastered across military blogs. Riley was erased, her name scrubbed from the records. Back in the bar, the present crashed into the past. Cole's team was on their feet now, closing in, their loyalty to him outweighing their doubt. Scarface grabbed Riley's arm, his grip tight. "You need to leave now," he growled. Riley didn't move. She looked at his hand, then back at his face, her eyes cold as winter. "Touch me again," she said, "and you'll regret it." Something in her voice made him pause, his instincts screaming that she wasn't bluffing. She pulled her arm free and turned back to Cole. "You've got one chance to make this right," she said. "Tell them the truth. Tell them who really saved you." Cole's mouth opened, but no words came out. He was trapped, caught between his pride and the weight of her stare. The bar was silent now, every eye on them, waiting for what came next. Riley stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that carried more weight than a shout. "You think you're untouchable, don't you? You think that metal makes you a man?" She reached into her jacket, and for a split second, Cole thought she might pull a weapon. Instead, she drew out a folded piece of paper, worn and creased, and slapped it on the bar. It was a photograph, grainy but unmistakable. Cole's team, bloodied and battered, being loaded onto a medevac chopper. Above them, barely visible in the night sky, was the silhouette of an A-10 Warthog. Her A-10. "You forgot about this, didn't you?" she said. "But I didn't. I kept it. And I kept the comms logs, too." Cole's eyes widened. The logs are proof of her voice, her call sign, her actions that were supposed to be destroyed. But Riley had always been smarter than they gave her credit for. The tension in the bar was suffocating, like the air before a storm. Cole's team was divided now, some glaring at Riley, others looking at him, doubt creeping into their eyes. Scarface broke the silence. "This is bullshit, Cole. Tell her she's full of it." But Cole didn't move. He was staring at the photo, his hands shaking. Riley leaned in, her voice a low growl. "You've got two choices, Jason. Come clean, or I send this to every news outlet, every blog, every officer who pinned that medal on your chest. Your call." The words were a death sentence to his career, his reputation, everything he'd built. He looked at her, searching for a way out, but her eyes were unrelenting, a storm of fury and justice. Cole's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of him. He turned to his team, his voice barely above a whisper. "She's telling the truth," he said. The words hit like a shockwave. Scarface stepped back, his face twisting in disbelief. "What the hell, man?" he said, but Cole didn't look at him. He was looking at Riley, his eyes filled with something she hadn't expected. "Shame." "I didn't think you'd make it out," he said. "I thought you were gone." "Yeah, broken bar, I couldn't face it." Riley's jaw tightened, but she didn't soften. "You didn't think," she said. You chose, and now you live with it. She turned to leave, her boots echoing on the wooden floor, but not before tossing one last look over her shoulder. Viper 1 doesn't forget. The bar was silent as she walked out, the door swinging shut behind her. Cole sank onto a stool, the weight of his confession crushing him. His team stood frozen, their brotherhood fractured, their hero exposed. Outside, Riley climbed onto her motorcycle, the engine roaring to life. She didn't look back. The night swallowed her, but her story didn't end there. Whispers of Viper 1 spread, first through the bar, then through the ranks. A legend reborn. Cole's career unraveled, his medal quietly stripped, his name a footnote in a story that now belonged to her. Riley rode into the darkness, the wind tearing at her jacket, her heart steady but heavy. She wasn't looking for redemption as she'd never needed it. She'd fought for truth, for the name she'd earned, and she'd won. The road stretched out before her, endless and uncertain, but she was Viper 1, and she was free. Hey, thanks for watching this story all the way through. It means the world to us. Drop a comment below and let us know, from which part of the country are you watching this video? We'd love to hear from you, and it helps keep the conversation going. See you in the next one.